Hi, as Vincent already mentioned, I'm Dr. Bart. I will be your guide today through the world of formally becoming a product manager, being at the final stretch at the job search process. And to that end, I've prepared myself a presentation, though it's more of a narration thing. It's more of a notes for me, so I can not forget everything I wanted to tell you. So let's start by examining the situation as it is for product managers right now, because a lot of things has changed. 3-4 years ago, around COVID, becoming a product manager or finding a new PM role was easier, way easier. We could see a lot of different advertisements. There was actually scarcity on the market, and a lot of recruiters would reach out to you asking if you want to become a product manager with them. But that's in the past for the time being. After COVID, the market has flipped dramatically, and the market was flooded with a lot of product managers from big tech with years of experience, and there wasn't enough jobs because they were eliminated. So for a year or two, every job that would be posted around the world would have hundreds of applicants, and the competition was dramatic. Right now, things are beginning to improve. In the US, I think we're more or less back to around pre-COVID situation where there were jobs, there's opportunities, but it's not, there's no scarcity on the market. It's more or less what you would expect. In Europe, we are still in a situation where there's a lot of talent and too few jobs to fill. And we still have hundreds of people applying to jobs that appear. I'm conflicted about India here because on one hand, it looks like there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of job openings that are there available. But unlike US, I'm hearing a lot of signals that most of those jobs are fake, being eliminated, and just there to help HR people fill in their quota. So I don't want to say that things are improving. They appear to improve when you look at the numbers, but it's only numbers. Going forward, hard to say, really. The era of AI, evolving ChatGPT, tells me that a lot of things can happen. We can be either more efficient, do more, and still need as many people as we have hired, or things can go the other way, that fewer and fewer people will actually need to be employed because AI can take some of the jobs. And though I don't think that product managers will necessarily be quickly replaced with AI, I think that there will be fewer developers, or they'll be doing much more with code assisting AIs, sorry. And we are yet to see what will be the new status quo. We are in the age of change. Where will it go? Nobody knows. It's like industrial revolution all over. We won't know what will happen until it happens. And that will be a fight. We have European Union that already holds back AI development to protect privacy, to protect the ownership of materials used to train AI, and protecting jobs. It's just a matter of time whether the rest of the world will follow or will embrace the AI to get economic advantage. But I'm not here to scare you. It was always difficult to get into product management. It was always difficult to get a new job. Processes take months. There are 6, 7 stages. There's a lot of people that were passionate to come into the market and become product managers. So in this regard, if you think about it, it's still as difficult as it was. It's just that people that have experience have it tougher. And I guess I don't have this in the presentation just now, but I think it's worth to tell you that indeed any PM job that you will try to acquire will take at least 2 months to get through the process. You will meet a lot of people. You will probably get a assignment home to prove your product skills. So changing product jobs is never it's never a situation where you can just leave your job and be confident that you will find a new one. No, you always have to stick to what you have before you make the transition. So you do not end up jobless. And until there is an offer on the table, you don't speak a word about your job search in your old job. No, you have to have as much confidence that you will get a new job as possible. And especially, maybe not now, maybe those things don't happen as often as they happened over the last year or two, but there were dramatic situations where people would have gotten an offer, left their old jobs, and then the offer was revoked because the position was cancelled, because budgets, because finances, whatever. That's always a risk. But that shouldn't stop you. Life is all about risks. Life is all about getting better. Product management is all about getting better, finding more value, finding jobs and products that you have, that you feel better with, that you resonate, that you can bring more to the table with the new job if you don't feel that the current one is the right one. So, with that intro, and I'm sorry if it sounded scary, but that was not my intention. That's just a report on the situation. Let's discuss on how to be ready, how to be a potentially successful candidate. And that starts with your CV resume. For product managers, you don't want to go beyond 2 pages. You may have lots of jobs, but it's always the last 3 that really count. And if you have no product experience, a formal product management experience, your job in this resume is to prove that you've done your preparation, that you are thinking as a PM and you can do the job if given the opportunity. How to achieve it? In your intro, because the main template that I suggest always is the intro, where you introduce yourself, experience section, and education section. Theme. That's obviously contact details at the top. Everything else is fluff. You don't need to put in your skills. It's better to show them in the context of your job to prove that you actually have those skills and not took like 10-minute YouTube course to acquire that skill. And you don't need to razzle-dazzle those people with big words. There are 2 things that you need to accomplish with your resume. Beat the AI, the bot, and convince the human to call you. Because the process as it looks like now is that because of those hundreds of applicants, they are being filtered to find the people who are best suitable, to save time to people who will actually arrange the calls for the best candidates. How can you be the best candidate with your resume? Very easily, you should simply not have a single template. That is something that takes a lot of time, a lot of willpower, and unfortunately, time. And what you want to do is to take your resume and adjust it every time you apply to make sure that an untrained eye, not a PM, not your hiring manager, not a senior PM, not the head of product, but a recruiter who is not a product manager, looks at your resume, looks at the job, compares the two, and thinks, yes, this person matches the details. And this also works for AI. If AI will see a job, a resume tweaked to match specific job offer, you are much more likely to go through the filter of electronic selection. You don't have to do it in a way that you take the job bullet points and you convert them to your resume. You should show your successes, your responsibilities, and your past career to show that you match at least 80% of the bullet points in the job ad. If you don't, you can still apply. In fact, in the previous slide, I forgot to say to you, and let's go back to that actually, how to be successful, how to be ready. Applying to jobs can be seen a little bit like a lottery. Okay, that means that if you lose, it's okay, it's lottery. Your chances were small in the beginning. While this might sound weird, it gives you the right distance between your rejection and your state of mind. You don't want to see a rejection letter and go and spiral down into self-doubt and worry and sadness. This will jeopardize you. You have to push on, try and try and try and try again until one day you're successful, until one day you refine your resume to a point where you get the call and you have the opportunity to show the person, people on the other side, that you are a great product manager. And even if this doesn't work, it's still your lottery. There will be still another call, another recruitment process. Be patient. It takes time, especially in this market. You will be your own enemy in this process because we do feel fear. We do feel self-doubt, but don't let that stop you. Don't let that take the energy you need to tweak your resume, to write a good cover letter, to be hopeful, be smiling. It will take time. There's very few people, very few unicorns that actually land the job right after university, right after a course, or in the first 1 or 2 applications they send. Of course, there are stories like this, but those are exceptions. The rest of us, and that includes me, need to work hard and regularly to get that call. So let's go back to the resume. Before I circumvented back to my lottery analogy, I told you how to beat the bot. Now, how to convince the person on the other end to give you a call. This is where your intro comes in. If you write a generic one, boring one, you are losing an opportunity to show yourself as someone special, someone worth calling. This is your mini cover letter section. This is where you can present yourself, present your unique qualities, the thing that you believe makes you a person to be called. If you can't convince yourself that you are the person worth that can do that job, then you won't convince any other person. So you need to find words that will present you as you are, as you have your experience, as you have everything you did so far to get a new job as a PM or become a PM. Your courses, your education, your own products, your initiatives. The world is an oyster, and everyone's intro should be different because everyone has a different story. And it's all about the story at this point. In fact, I do suggest that rather than do a bullet point list of what happened in your previous positions, you should make it a story. You should tell what happened with you. You should tell about your successes, the skills you used, and make it a compelling read. Same as intro. Now, why? If you pass the bot, again, you have to convince the human to call you. And while some will say, and it's justified, the bullet point list with specific entries is better because you can just look at it quickly and get the gist of it. But also, communication and being a storyteller is so important as a product manager. And if you can demonstrate that skill immediately in your resume, that you can present yourself, you can sell yourself, you can present your value pitch as a person, as a professional, then you've already did something to show that you are the right person. Now, let's see. Anything, those advices, other advices here are quite generic. Don't put picture on your resume. In some countries, it won't be welcomed. That includes UK. Use a personal, professional sounding CV. I meant template of CV. There are different companies like Kick Resume, like just Google CV creators. You want to even pay like those $5-10 for the template, because those will guarantee you that the systems that the recruiter use will be able to read your resume and extract all the information and thus make a fair assessment whether you fit or not. If you do your own Word, transfer it into PDF, you do risk the situation where the bot won't be able to extract and make sense of the information that you have in your resume. So that's like technical advice here, really. Limit your experience to the last 3 relevant positions, and put a lot of focus onto them. Make sure that you use the right product management lingo. You mentioned backlog, you mentioned roadmap, you mentioned Jira if you used it, you mentioned your leadership aspects, your willingness and talent to set goals and reach them, and other, I think that's all, and strategy. The best format I know when it comes to bullet points, not story, is the one that Google suggested, where you present an action you took and the results, and how you achieve it. By using my leadership skills, I managed to improve the success rate of sprints by 50%. With the discovery work, we managed with the team to craft a feature that helped us achieve all the quarterly goals, including a growth of 40% in one of the main metrics. Something along those lines. You can use skills to present. You can present here how you managed to achieve your achievements, and those are really important. You don't talk about your responsibilities. You talk about your impact. You tell people what you did, and remember, a layman needs to understand what's happening. If you go too much into the details and talk about your specific industry, that might sound gibberish to people who are not in that industry. So make sure that it's generic enough. Don't use specialized lingo. Don't use abbreviations without explaining them. Try to dumb it down, just like you would when you present to higher level executives who probably don't have a clue about details of your work, but they still need to understand. And let's see, in the description, use active, avoid. Okay, that's what I've said. Education is there. Just put your courses, certificates, but remember, unless you are US Ivy League or you are an Indian in India, this really doesn't matter. Especially in Europe, no one cares where you got your bachelor, master, doctorate. No one cares about your university. It's the experience that matters. Oh, that's an old advice. No, the last bullet point shouldn't be that. But what should be said also is that if you have a founder experience or you created a new product, it's worth to mention that and focus on what you've learned on the way. What were your goals? How did it go? And what were your biggest successes, failures? And what did you learn along the way? Piloting any product, whether it's an app, a blog, YouTube channel, whatever, is product experience. Not the product experience that they want to see, but a statement, something that you've managed to do on your own in a product management way. You experimented, you improved and iterated on different versions of your product. It's all a good story to tell, trust me. And especially if you are an ex-founder that sold his or her business with a huge profit. This is great. This is better than corporate product management experience where you work on a part of a small product and you are happy when your metrics move at all because the changes you are making are small. Every founder wants to either grow his or her business to gigantic size or pass it along to someone for a nice pay at some point. This is success. Closing the business is failure, but understanding why it happened is also important, and you can demonstrate it. A lot of businesses went down because of the COVID because they weren't ready for that situation. That's okay. You've recognized it. Okay. That's my summary here, but let's see how I'm doing on time. Oh, I've spent a lot of time already. Let's move on. I still have a lot of slides, and I think I talked about resume for far too long. So I need to wrap up in 15, 20 minutes. So LinkedIn, another aspect of you presenting yourself to the world. For PMs, LinkedIn is a more important version of your resume in cloud. Well, to be honest, this was written in times when, as I said, there was scarcity on the market and people were hunting for good product managers. And still, I believe that LinkedIn will really help you if you can use all the advice I've given you for your resume and apply it to your LinkedIn profile. When you of course need to make sure that you are being visible as open to work. You can make it so only recruiters see it, so don't worry, your manager won't see that you're looking for a job. And yeah, let's see let's focus on the differentiators of a resume and LinkedIn, because if you've written your resume as I advised you, you can use it word for word in your LinkedIn. That will work great. Try to organize your career history to tell the story of your growth. Oh yeah, because unlike in the resume, on LinkedIn, you can freely show your whole experience. So you can also try to tell a story of a person who started at some point, started growing his or her skills, and became the person who this person is right now, and who is the person worth reaching out to for the product management positions. Hit the buzzwords. Yeah, that was said. Try numbers on your achievement. That's right. If you've written any articles or science papers, go ahead and list them. List your career rewards if you have any. If you have certificate courses, it will also make your profile look way better. But what is also very important is collecting recommendations from your colleagues, from previous companies. If you have like 10, 15, 20 of them, of people who praise you highly, that looks really good to recruiters. That gives them an idea of who you are based on people that talk about you. And that's also something you wouldn't include on your resume unless you are in the US. In the US, you have this, I would say, weird thing where you put references, phone numbers, but I always found it like something that you can cheat very easily. Like, let's not get into that. I don't understand the system as a non-American. I'm actually Polish from Europe. Yeah, you are always looking for your next position. This is the mantra I want you to have, because even if you are comfortable at your job, even if you don't feel like a change, you don't know what will happen. You can have an opportunity that will exceed what you have easily, but you need to be open to that opportunity. You need to refine your resume, your LinkedIn, and be ready to amaze when you will need to amaze someone to get you a new job. And let's see, I think how to use LinkedIn. Okay, that's worth speaking. So keep your profile active. That means that if you could post something about product management every week, twice a week, you don't need to become an influencer or content creator. Just make your profile active. If you post, LinkedIn will be much more likely to recommend you to recruiters. And to have people engaging with your post, make sure to connect with different product managers and people who might be interested in your posts. That will really help. Accept any connection and reply to any job offer. As in reply, sometimes, at least it happened to me, where I was requested to apply to a job as a, I don't know, Java developer, just because I mentioned Java developer somewhere in my product experience for whatever reason. So while those might sound like misguided, just be polite to those people. Who knows what happened? Just say, I'm sorry, I'm not the right candidate for it, but if you have any product position, I'm more than open for it. And those are little seeds. Those are additional coupons in your lottery that might get you the win sometime when you are the right person for another job offer this person is trying to fill. So LinkedIn is your passive way to get attention. It might not work as good as it used to 3 years ago, but very often when you apply for a job with your resume, you are also being asked for your LinkedIn profile. So if that's in order and as impressive as your resume, then you are looking at more probability of winning the lottery, as we put it together. Now, portfolio. I'm often asked, how to create your product portfolio. Don't. Really, it's a waste of time. I've never seen anyone interested in product portfolio of anyone. We're not a designer. Your contributions in the product might be front end, which can be displayed nicely in this portfolio if you really want to create it. But what if your contributions were minor, or you've worked more on the back end and making things happen? It's better to have the story in your resume, because also, as recruiters don't have a lot of time to read your resume, they will likely not have time to check out your portfolio, which will be a bigger version of your resume anyway. And if it's more detailed and tells specific aspects of your job that require subject level knowledge, it might be confusing and really not helpful, unless you're trying to apply to a competitor of a company that you used to work for. Then by all means go crazy with specific details, so you can demonstrate that you do things alike enough to be an easy choice to be called. But don't stress about it. The portfolio is the last thing you can do, and probably it doesn't make sense. Maybe it helped 1 in 10,000, 100,000 people. Who knows? I have not seen any job application or a story where the portfolio was having any part whatsoever. Now, this webinar is all about finding your job locally and internationally. So let's start with the local one. Let's see my time. Okay, I should be good. So what you want to do is to have your 3 pillars when you look for a local job, which means that it's somewhere in the country you're living in or within the proximity of reasonable commute. You need to identify top 3 job boards that will feed you new job ads regularly. In fact, if such functionality exists, you want to have a job alert set up, and whenever a new position appears, try to be one of the first candidates. This is hard, especially given that we have our lives, and I did tell you to adjust your resume to every application. But the quicker you are, the higher you will be on the pile. So the pile doesn't make a lot of difference if there is bot filtering, but not everyone has technology to filter out candidates. So if you are a good candidate on top of the pile, then you are more likely to be the winner of the lottery. LinkedIn. That's unfortunately the source that's not as good as when I developed this, let's call it framework, for lack of better words. And this is both local and international. At least that was when the scarcity was around. You'd be recruited to be relocated to a different country. In fact, I was relocated from Poland to Czech Republic when I joined Microsoft. So that was an experience. However, for now, I think it's still more of a local thing in terms of job search, where you are more likely to be approached by recruiters that share your country rather than ones that look internationally for a candidate. And to do that, just follow all the advice I've shared in the previous section about LinkedIn. Keep your profile looking awesome, be active there, and wait, there will be some message one day, and be sure to reply to it, whatever it says. However, there's also the direct approach. And by that, I don't mean to take a resume, go to the office and leave it at the desk, as it would work maybe in the 80s, 90s, perhaps early 2000s somewhere. No. You want to identify the companies that are close enough, and you want to work with them, and have a system where you know their career pages and you visit them regularly, so you pick up on new job ads that appear there. And very often they will appear before they are on job boards, or they will be even exclusive to the, let's call it, local company job board. And also the specific systems of the companies will give you a bit of a potential preferential treatment, because you will be applying with their system, so you will answer all the questions that they want, and there are no compromises between the job board and what this employer's system requires. So it will be a full candidate with no technical aspects missing. So this is how you do it locally. Job boards, LinkedIn, and the companies you want to work for, that you know that the office is close enough, that you have confidence about the brand, the product, and you are simply there waiting for your shot to be the person selected. What about the international job search? By that, I understand the ability to work remotely for some country, or move there after being recruited, or move there before you begin your job search process in that country. Why? Legally speaking, it's a nightmare to have a cross-country recruitment. If you hire someone from a different country to work in another country remotely, the world didn't figure it out quite well just yet legally. There are issues which laws apply to your health and safety. There are issues when deciding on what law takes precedence when it comes to the employment benefits, which in some countries are mandatory, in other countries will be different, and that hybrid doesn't work that good. That's the laws. There was one more thing. Oh, healthcare, right? If you are employed on a contract, at least in Europe, you get healthcare. But what about if you work from a country that doesn't have national healthcare? It's a mess. So very likely, even if the position is remote, you will only be considered if you can prove that you are already living in the country which hosts the job. So to that end, you probably need to move. You might need a visa. Just get your legal stuff in order, or have it started being in order, before having realistic expectation that you will get a call back for an international position. The alternative, and a reasonable way to do it, is to have a business entity and work on a business-to-business manner, where you have a contract, and as you're a business entity, no employment or workers' right protections apply to you, and you are responsible for your own health and safety, your own healthcare, and your own rights, which is an additional strain. The accounting can be a pain in the boot, but that's something that is possible. Yet, not a lot of countries and employers will consider a B2B remote worker, but this is at least clear of any um, legal hurdles. So one more thing you can do to work remotely is to consider gig economy. Not a lot of gig economy for product managers though, but you can see there are some aspects where you can help a product department of some company or some small entity that's looking to find people who will help with research, with design, with small stuff that you can potentially offer as a remote PM. Services like Upwork and Fiverr will help you here, but it all comes down really to change your international job search into local job search if you want to be realistically considered. I'm sorry, that's why I don't like it. I'd love to be considered for US positions from Europe because the pay is much higher. The hours are nice because you can start at like 2 or 3 p.m. in Europe and work until night. And for a night owl like myself, it's perfect. But because of those legal troubles, that will never happen unless I move to US, which I will never do, and I don't recommend it because, well, United States of America are great in the US movies, but when you go there, things are not that bright. But that's not the topic for our call today. Let's see. I still want to have the Q&A. Okay, so that's actually the end of this part of the webinar. This is all I have for you in terms of finding your job locally, internationally, and how to craft your great product resume, your LinkedIn profile, how to strategize your job search, how to perhaps consider your portfolio even though it doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe you need it to create your story and it will help you to talk about your job so you don't do it externally but for your own benefit to review what you can talk about. And in the end, if you get the call, it will be all about your skills and experience. And to get those skills, my calls will really help you. I've made sure to guide you through all the aspects that the product manager needs and provide advice that is down to earth. I wouldn't call this course practical because you don't actually get to do a product with me or anything like that. There is a chapter that tells you how to start your own product to get some private experience, but it's down to earth. I don't talk about theory a lot. I talk about my real experiences and trying to make sure that the painful road with lots of challenges that I went through to become who I am right now will be much easier for you because you will have the benefit of having the knowledge of my experiences and what works and what doesn't work in order to be a great product manager. So the course starts with the position on what it's about, how to understand it, what are the main misconceptions. Then I talk about the main features and skills that the product manager needs, like communication, prioritization, and lots of others. Then we start to go through a typical product life cycle in this process. I talk about how to come up with the right ideas and how to have the right fundamentals to come up with the right ideas or be able to create an environment where you will have people that will provide you ideas that you can prioritize. And then we come to making sure that those ideas are clarified, that they can be turned into software, and with the skill of communication in chapter 5, you start to share your vision, your ideas on how to make the product you're working on better, how to reach your goals. After that, I tell you how to organize your work, how to be effective and deal with way too many expectations that the typical product manager has. Then I move on to how to work with developers, how to act as a product manager when the product or the feature update is going live, how to be data-driven and understand what's happening with the product and make conclusions on what to do next. Then in the not semi-final and ultimate chapter, I talk about a lot of things that I talked today about the resume, LinkedIn, and how the product career usually goes. And finally, the final chapter tells you on how to start your own product, how to get the skills that you acquired for the course and turn them into an experience you can share in the story of why you should be the next great product manager in the company of your dreams. Thank you. That's all I have for you today.